Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing some really easy beginner friendly Christmas designs. We are going to start off doing a peppermint, and I applied 2 coats of white gel polish, and now I'm taking a liner brush, dipping it in some red polish and creating some little square shapes along the edge of the nail. I'm taking a skinnier liner brush and I'm cleaning up the top parts of those squares. You want to make sure everything is even and just nice and straight and clean. So basically we're making those little squares around the entire perimeter of the nail. You can make these little squares a little bit longer so that they're going in towards the center a little bit more. Personally, I like this length. You can also add some charms or some other nail art to the top of it if you want. Otherwise, you can leave it as is, apply some top coat, and let's move on to the next nail. We're doing a candy cane design. I have a white base color and I'm going to use red for my stripes. I made 2 little lines at the corner of the nail, and then the third line I made was thicker than those first 2 lines. Now we're going back to creating skinnier lines. We're going to make 2 skinnier lines, and then after we make those 2 skinnier lines, we're going to make a thicker line. So there's a little pattern here. If you Google an actual candy cane, you will see that there's going to be some that have just the thick red and white lines. There's some that have even more skinnier lines in between those thicker lines. There's some that have red and green lines. So just Google candy canes and see what design you like best. I'm just keeping it simple today, but you can definitely switch this up. You can also switch up the colors as well. So I'm creating those last 2 skinny lines, and then I'm creating another little line in the corner. That little line in the corner is supposed to be one of the thick lines, but we don't have enough space. Then you are going to apply your top coat, and that's it. We're going to move on to the next nail. I applied a pink base color, and now I'm making a French design on the tip of the nail. And this one is going to be another candy cane style design, except we're just doing that design on the tip of the nail. So after you have created your French, you're going to take some red gel polish or whatever color polish you want and make some lines. So I'm going to go with the pattern of thick and thin again. And I'm also making the lines at a slant. I just like how it looks better. So I'm making a thick line and then a thinner line, and I'm going to do that throughout the whole area where I made my French tip at. Then I'm going to cure it, and that's it. If you want to add anything else, you can. I'm going to add just a little bit of glitter right along where the pink and the design meets. So to start that off, I am applying a metallic silver first, and then I'm going to apply a silver glitter on top of that. After that glitter is cured, I'm going to go in with a glossy top coat and we are done. For the next nail, we're going to be doing a Santa face. So I already have a white base color down, and I'm taking this nude color. I made a rectangle shape right in the center of the nail, and then I'm making some arches along the top and the bottom of it. So it should look something like that. And you can use whatever color you want. Basically, this part we're doing right here is going to be Santa's face. So you can make Santa any complexion that you want. I do go in with a color that's a little bit darker as a second coat for his face part. But as you can see, the top and the bottom part, they have some little arches. So you can make 2 or 3 or 4 depending on how wide your nail is. My nail is on the wider side. So I think I did about 4 arches, and it's gonna look a little weird now, but it will make sense. But just remember that this part we're doing right here is going to be his face. After his face part is cured, we're going to start on the top of his hat. So Santa has a red hat. I'm taking some red gel polish with a liner brush, and I'm just polishing the top of the nail. At the bottom part of that red part, you're going to make some arcs. So it should look like this. Basically, I cured that red part already, and now I'm going in with some white gel polish, And I'm using my dotting tool for this part because it is easier. I already have a white base color, but I only applied one layer. So I wanted that white part in his hat to be a little bit more brighter and solid. So that's why I'm applying a second layer of that white. I'm also going to apply a second layer of that white gel polish at the bottom part of the nail. And that white part is basically his beard. So with all of these designs, I'm just giving you guys a basic way to do it, but you can absolutely add more detail. You can change up the colors if you want to make his hat pink, if you want to make it so that his hat is glittery, you can do so. Feel free to like customize it and really just get creative. Right now we're going to do his eyes and his nose. I'm dipping my dotting tool in some white gel polish and creating some circles for his eyes and one for his nose. After the white dots are cured, I'm going back in with my dotting tool and some black gel polish and making 2 circles inside of his eyes. After everything is cured, you can go ahead and apply a top coat, or again, if you want to add something else, you can. But we're going to move on to the next nail, which is going to be part of Santa's outfit. So we're starting off with a white base color. Take your red gel polish and apply some along the sides of the nail. You want to make sort of like a rectangle shape, and then towards the bottom of that rectangle shape, you're going to create some arches. So I wanted to bring mine down a little lower. That's the only reason you guys see me did 2 arches. You don't need to do that, but I wanted to bring mine down a little bit lower, and then I'm going to make that red part a little bit thicker. So we're going to do that on both sides. You want to have some white space in between those red parts. How much space you leave in between the red parts is up to you, but I would recommend probably leaving that white space in the middle about the same width as the red parts you're making. So again, those bottom parts, you want it to be arched a little bit. It should look like this. And then I'm going to go in with a liner brush and create an arch towards the top, and it's sort of connecting those 2 red parts. So you can go ahead and cure that, and this is what your nail should look like. You can apply a second layer of the red if you need to. Otherwise, let's move on to the next part, which is actually his belt. So you're going to take a liner brush, dip it in some black gel polish, and create a line going right across that nail from side to side. And again, you're making a belt, so keep that in mind. You don't have to make it super thick, but you also don't need to make it really thin. Once you're done making a line, you can go ahead and cure that. We're going to come back and make the buckle part of his belt. And for his buckle, I'm going to be using this gold glitter color, and I'm just making a rectangle shape right in the center of the black line we just made. You can add some glitter polish to the red part of his coat. You can add some black buttons going down the center in that white area. I'm just going to leave it like this, apply the top coat, and this is how your nail will look. This next nail is going to be a simple Rudolph nail. I'm using a gold color as my base, and I'm using this brown color, creating a square type shape, and then with that same brown color and a liner brush, I'm just going to round off the top area of that square. So this is going to be the reindeer's face, and I guess more specifically we can call him Rudolph because we are going to make him with a red nose. After you're done and this part is cured, take a darker brown and make 2 lines going up. On the sides of those 2 lines, make 2 slanted lines. So these are going to be his antlers. After you have done that, you can go ahead and cure it, and then you're going to take your dotting tool and some white gel polish, make 2 circles for his eyes. Next, you're going to dip your dotting tool in some red gel polish and make a nice size circle for his nose. You want to make the nose bigger than his eyes. After that, you're going to dip your dotting tool again in some black gel polish and make two little dots inside of those white circles we made so we can complete his eyes. And that is your Rudolph. Apply any other details that you may want to do. Otherwise, you can just apply your top coat and that's it. For this next nail, we're going to be making a simple gift design. So you can use whatever colors you want. For my base color, I used a red glitter, and then for the ribbon part, I'm using white. After you have applied the color to your nail, you're going to take a liner brush and make two lines, one going down the nail and one going across the nail. I prefer to do my lines a little bit off the center. If you want to make the lines going right down the center, you can. Just think of how a gift will usually look when it's wrapped in ribbon and a bow. And I prefer mine off to the side like I'm doing. So I'm not making the lines in the exact center. I'm doing it a little bit off the center. So you can go ahead and cure those two lines, and then after that you're going to create your bow. So you want to make the top part of your bow almost like a teardrop shape, where the top part is more rounded and the bottom part is more pointed. And then you're going to create the little ribbon part going down. You want to make that line a little squiggly. I'm just going over my ribbon one more time just to make sure the white is nice and solid. And there goes your present nail. So you can go ahead and apply your top coat if you're satisfied with your nail, or you can do other things like a rhinestone in the center of the bow would be really cute. I'm actually going to apply a silver metallic polish right down the center of all of the white lines that I made. The next two nails are going to be two different snowflake designs, and again you can apply whatever base color you want. I'm using this red and I'm using white for my snowflake design. You're going to take a liner brush and make two lines, one going down and then one going across that line, so you have a cross shape. Now that we have this cross shape, we're going to make some lines in between those lines. So you're going to make two diagonal lines going up. You want to make these a little bit smaller, and then two diagonal lines going down. This design has a lot of skinny lines, so I suggest taking your time but also curing as you go. So you can make two lines and then cure that, two more lines and then cure that. So this is what you should have, that X and cross shape. After you have fully cured that, you're going to take your liner brush again and make some lines into a V shape basically. And for the longer lines, we're going to do two of these V shapes because there's going to be enough space for us to do two. And I know this is actually a different nail, and that is because I had to refilm this because I lost footage of me doing this part of the design. So again, we're making two V's on the longer lines, and you can just do it by making two slanted lines on each side of that line. If that makes sense, I hope that makes sense to you guys with how I'm describing it. Otherwise, I mean, you have a visual here. On this line, because it was so close to the edge of the nail, I was only able to do one V shape. But yeah, you want to make two V shapes on each of the longer lines. So after you're done with that, we're going to make some more V shapes on the lines that we have in between. So the lines that are shorter, you guys will see that right now. These lines are shorter, right? So we're going to make a V at the very tip of that. And we're going to do that for all of those remaining lines. So after you have created all of those lines, you can go ahead and cure it and you're pretty much done. So This is the red nail. Again, I had lost the footage of me making those smaller V-shaped lines, but I got the footage of me finishing the nail. So I am going to add a rhinestone right in the center. You can be done with your design at this point if you want. You can add glitter to it, do whatever you want. I wanted to add a clear little rhinestone, and I'm also going to add a smaller snowflake in the corner of the nail. And also what you can do is add some little dots throughout the nail that sort of kind of look like snow. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to make a smaller snowflake in the corner. And because this one is way smaller than the first snowflake I did, I don't have to do as many lines at all. I'm going to add some more of those little dots, and then I'm going to apply a top coat, and that's it. The next snowflake design is going to be easier than the one we just did. You're going to take your dotting tool and dip it in your polish color of choice, create a dot, and then two more dots above that dot that you just made, and two more dots below that one. How many dots you do depends on how big you want your snowflake. So just keep that in mind, play around with different sizes, but you can definitely make this snowflake bigger or smaller. So you're going to take your liner brush and start from the middle and just bring some of that polish down to make a line going right down the center of those dots that you just created. So now you're going to do the same thing on the sides of that middle dot. You're going to make two dots on each side, and then take your liner brush, and from the center dot you're going to make a line connecting to the dots you made on the side. So after that, we are going to add one dot into that space in between all of the lines like this. And then again from the center out, we're just spreading out some gel polish to connect the middle dot to that outside dot. And that is your snowflake design. So you can go in and touch up as needed. That is what I'm doing here. I'm taking my dotting tool. Some of the circles were a little bit off. I wanted to make sure everything looked even, and taking my liner brush and just touching up anything that I need to touch up. And then I'm going to cure that because I am going to draw another little snowflake on the corner of the nail. And I'm also making some little dots with my dotting tool to look like snow. After I'm done with the design, I'm going to apply a glossy top coat, and there goes our second snowflake nail. This is going to be the last nail design. We're going to be drawing a gingerbread girl. I'm using white as my base color, and then I'm taking a brown color with my dotting tool, making a circle for our gingerbread girl head. I suggest starting off with a smaller circle because you can always go back and make it bigger. I actually end up doing that. Also keep in mind how big your nail is because we need to draw her body. So here I just made a triangle shape, and this is going to be her dress. And you're going to connect that triangle shape with that circle shape that you just made, and it actually looks sort of like a keyhole. So you can go ahead and cure that. This is what you should have so far as this shape. We're going to start on the arms and the legs now, and I'm going to show you two different ways you can do this. So the arms and legs are pretty much shaped the same way. If you break it down as far as what shape the arms and legs are, you can make a square or rectangle shape, and then it has a circle at the tip of it. So here I'm using my nail art brush, and I'm just making a rectangle shape, and then I'm rounding it off at the top. If doing it this way is a little bit too complicated for you, You can do it the other way, and I'm going to show you how when I do her legs. Basically, you're going to take your dotting tool, dip it in your gel polish, and make 2 dots. You want to leave some space between those dots and her dress. So whether you're making her arms or her legs, keep some space because we have to actually draw her legs. Those dots you created are basically the bottom of her feet or her hands, depending on what part of her you're actually drawing. But this way, I feel like it's a little bit more easier if you are concerned with making that round shape with your liner brush. I know sometimes that can be a hassle, so just use your dotting tool for that part. I'm also going in with my liner brush, making her dress a little bit longer and also a little bit wider. Her dress honestly should be wider than the width of her head. I also made her legs a little bit thicker. As you can see, her legs make a V shape. So that is the shape that you're aiming for. So this is the shape you should have. You can go ahead and cure that because we're going to go back in now and work on her details. So at her neck area, you want to create a line, and this line can be straight if you want. I made mine a little bit wavy, and you're also going to create some curved lines on her hand. So you want this to be almost at the tip, and you're going to do this on both sides of her hands. Then you're going to make another curvy line at the bottom of her dress. Again, you can make this line straight across if you want. I'm making mine just a little bit curved. And at any point when you're working on the details, you can cure those details. That way you don't accidentally mess anything up and then have to start over. But while I'm here, I'm going to add a smile on her face. You can do this at any time, but because I'm already using white gel polish, I figured I would do it at that point. And then I went ahead and cured all of those designs I just did. Now I'm going back in with some black gel polish on a dotting tool to make her eyes. Also at this point, if you want to be done with the design, you can do that, or you can just keep going. I'm going to keep going and add some buttons. I'm making her buttons red. I'm making 3 going right down the center of her dress. So I am actually going to add a bow as well. And for the bow, you can make 2 triangle shapes and connect it, or you can make an X shape and then fill in the space. After you cure that, just go in with a little dot right in the center of the bow. I'm making that dot red to match her little buttons, and there goes your little bow. With that same pink color, I'm going to make some sparkles throughout the nails and then apply a top coat, and that's it. We are done. And that is all for today's video. I know this one was on the longer side. Hopefully you guys stuck around, and hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know if you try any of these designs. Feel free to tag me on social media as well if you do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.